Hey y'all, I'm Danielle. Welcome back to the Surrendered CEO. In today's video, I'm going to be talking about your operating expenses. So, before we get into that, I want to mention that I talked about your cost of goods in a previous video. And so, if you are struggling to find your cost of goods, I'll link that in the description. But essentially, your cost of goods is going to be any expense that goes into you making the product, or if you buy wholesale, it's going to be whatever costs go into you getting that product, plus whatever costs go into you packing the order up and getting it out to your customer. That's going to be your cost of goods. Now you have something else called your operating expenses. So the operating expenses are the expenses that you have to pay in your business, whether or not your business makes money or not. So these are the ongoing monthly costs or sometimes annual costs that your business has to pay whether you make sales or not. So it's very important for us as business owners to know, hey, what are our operating costs and how much are we spending per month? And is there any opportunity to reduce that? Every month I do my P&L statement. And if you don't do a P&L statement, I'm happy to send you a blank copy of mine. This is very, very important for you to do every single month in your business. All right. If you want that, just send me an email. It's Danielle@naturallycreatedwholesale.com and I'll send that to you for free. But within the P&L statement, I have it broken down by my cost of goods and then my operating expenses. And so every month I'm checking like, what are my operating expenses? And I just did it the other day and I've been able to get my operating expenses down. And I want to share with you how, because I think it was a week or two ago, I shared with you how to reduce cost in your business. I did a video about using thermal labels instead of, buying stickers, buying thank you cards and whatnot. So just in this economy, I'm looking for ways to reduce my expenses without sacrificing the customer experience and the quality of my products. So, I want to go through a couple of things that are on my operating expenses and just things that I've been able to do this year to reduce what those are. And just so you know, my operating expenses of my business, regardless whether or not I make money, and this is just for the retail side of my business, this isn't for wholesale, but it's about $400. All right. This is whether or not I make money or not. I'm having to pay that $400. So, some things that I have on here, and this is not everything. I'm just going over a few of the things is my email platform. So earlier this year, I was paying $90 a month for my email through Klaviyo. And I've been able over this year to clean up my email list because I had a lot of people on there that were not engaged, and it was like I was paying to have these email profiles, but these profiles weren't really engaged. They weren't like, it wasn't really making sense just to say, oh, I have this many email subscribers. But if the person isn't getting the emails and opening the emails, like, I don't need you on the list. Like, that's a cost that I don't need. And so I've been able to reduce my email expense from $90 back in January to 47. So I almost cut it in half. Like, just imagine if you're not paying attention to that type of stuff, right? Like how you can just be spending money. Another thing that I was able to do was my apps, right? So I had a lot of apps on my Shopify store. I was paying about $100 a month in apps. I was able to get that down to about $65. And that's just being conscious of, what are these apps really doing? Are they driving income? Because if they're driving income, that's a great app to have. But if they're just there for a visual purpose, or, sometimes you download something and then you forget to cancel it. So then you're just, now you're being charged for it, but it's just not as useful as it used to be. Like those types of things, you want to cut that expense because it's not helping to drive income. Some other things that you may have within your operating expenses could be like subscriptions to things. If you pay a monthly fee for Canva or ChatGPT or a marketing service, anything like that. It's an ongoing expense, your internet bill, your phone bill. If you have a place of business to where you're having to pay rent and utilities, all of that stuff is going to be into your operating cost. And so you just want to be mindful of these things. Sometimes you literally can't reduce it. Like there's just a cost of doing business, but sometimes you can. And that's the purpose of this video, is to just bring awareness to this. And if someone was to ask you, hey, what are your monthly operating expenses? That you would have an idea of what those are and that you would be aware of these things throughout the year so you can say, hey, where can I cut some expenses in my business that are not necessarily bringing value to my business anymore? Like as business owners, we want to always be good stewards over what God has given us. And so we want to be looking over these things so that we have awareness. We shouldn't be out here just blindly spending money and adding new expenses and not keeping track of things. And I say that because I've done that. I've done that. I'm like, oh, this seems like a good idea. I'm going to invest in that. And then you go invest in it, and 6 months later, it's like, why am I still paying for this? So just be mindful of those things. Same thing with your credit card or however you do your payments with your business. So for me, I use a credit card so that I can get cash rewards back through my purchases. And so every month, go through your statement or however you do it, your bank account statement, go through and make sure that the charges are real, because I've caught several charges that were not, like they were fraudulent charges. And so if we're not keeping up with that type of stuff and we're just going through it, because let's be honest, this is probably our least favorite thing to do. It's like the admin side of things. Not that we're not good at it or can't do it, but it's not something that's like, oh, just can't wait to sit down and do my P&L statement and go over all my expenses for the month. Like nobody is really wanting to do that. It's just something that we know we need to do. Some of you may not know how to do it. That's why I just want to create videos to just bring awareness and shed some light on some of these important things that I didn't know when I first started and I really didn't get a hold of until a couple of years after I was in business. And I was like, oh my gosh, nobody talks about this stuff. Like, I really need to figure it out. One of the things that's been a blessing this year to realize is through paying attention to my expenses and where money is going, how much money is going out. Just really paying attention to these things has helped me increase my profit margin. So it's not that my company is making more sales. I've worked a lot less this year. But because I've been so intentional with these numbers, I've been able to increase my profit margin by 10%. That's a big deal, I feel. We should always be looking for ways to increase our profit margin. And I feel like it's a really big deal, especially since the cost of everything has went up. And so again, just want to encourage you to pay attention to these things in your business because it can cost you. It can cost you your profits. And we work so hard as business owners. We don't want to just let money slip away, especially when some of this money, it has to get paid regardless whether or not you make sales or not. So I hope this video was helpful. If y'all have any questions, leave a comment. If y'all have any topics that y'all want me to talk about in future videos, let me know. And I'll see y'all in this video. Bye.